Who's your emergency contact? Who should we notify in the case of death? Welcome to the USP, where I've spent the last 2+ decades of my life. I'm currently locked down in the SMU program. I think somebody says special management unit, monitoring unit. It's one and the same. It's 24/7 lockdown. They call it 23-in-1 because from Monday through Friday, they're supposed to give you rec for an hour each day. And for the most part, they do. The thing with the SMU program, when it's time for laundry, chow, mail, everything's on the clock. So you can pretty much adjust yourself and figure out what time it is by the movements that's going on your tier. Because they're pretty consistent with the time they feed you, with the time they come pick up laundry, drop off laundry. As far as like haircuts, being able to use the nail clippers and all that stuff, it's just they pull out 3 or 4 cells each night, and depending on how long these people stay over there in that cage, cutting their hair, doing their nails or whatever, that determines the rotation. So for the most part, you're just stuck in a cell with your own thoughts. You have your radio, and for me, I was fortunate enough to be able to have someone on the streets, my wife in particular, to send me books that I can read, that I can educate myself with on certain different subjects. But if you don't have nobody on the outside sending you magazines or sending you books, then you're at the mercy of their book cart. Their book cart comes through, but sometimes half the book is missing because when people read it and they're trying to pass it on to the next guy, they got to tear it up so they can roll it up in a bundle, put it in a sock, and shoot out the mouse hole, or try to get it thin enough where they can slide through the door to you. But for me, like I said, through the course of my bid, I've been fortunate that I had resources and loved ones out on the streets. But the story I want to share with you today is just, when you're stuck in a cell, you have a lot of time to contemplate your existence and some of the things that you've done, some of the things you've been through. I was active my whole bid, from the day they arrested me, being in the county jail, to all the different penitentiaries that I went through. I wasn't really concerned about my good time, or did I ever think that I was going to make it 20+ years down the road. So my mentality was, let's get through the day. From the time they crack the doors open at 6 o'clock in the morning till the time they lock the door at 10 o'clock, which was back then. Now they lock you down 8:30, 9:15, depending on what compound you're on. But I've been active. I've been involved in everything under the sun. I depend on myself, for the most part, to be able to hustle and make a living and support myself while I'm in the penitentiary. Some people don't understand, why do you need money coming in from the streets, or why do you need to do this, do that? They give you 3 meals and a cot, But outside that, anything you want, shoes, sweats, a drink, a smoke, you got to go get it yourself. You got to have the money, you got to have the funds to do it. And I've been able to be in a position where I'm able to hustle in every yard I go to. Once people got to know me, my reputation preceded me. So any compound I go to, if I know anybody that's moving and doing whatever they're doing, they always extend a hand. While I was in Atwater, I ran a poker table for the whole 7 years I was there. It's unheard of. People come in, sit down at their table. Some might last a few months. Most time is only a few weeks. But I was able to run a poker table almost every single day. I say almost because there's some days, some seasons within the year, especially in the winter, where it's cold and wet, that not a lot of people come out to the yard. But the summertime, the spring leading up all the way to the fall, I got a full table with a waiting list for people to come on. So that's how I was able to eat. And during that time, in one of these incidents, was one of my, I would say, scariest moment in my life. I've been stabbed, I've been jumped, I've been in riots, and I've been in different confrontations, but no other time was I ever fearful for my life. I mean, yeah, I'm fearful. It's like, man, I know I'm gonna get fucked up. I know I'm gonna get hurt or whatever when I get into these different incidents, and I'm nervous and get the jitters and all that stuff. But it's different because all these incidents, I have a little bit of control over the outcome. You know, no matter the odds, no matter how bigger the dude is, I have a little control over the outcome because of my determination to win, or my determination not to get fucked off, you know. And but in this particular incident, I had absolutely no control. You know, when you run a poker table, people get into debt with you. And our money, our currency at the time, even now, is stamps. But stamps are not the only form of currency. You know, I ran a credit game on a yard for almost 3 years. I fluctuate between cash and credit depending on the clientele that's on the compound. So at this particular time, I'm running a week-to-week credit table. I cut 10% of the pot. The players are not going to beat me. I average about 7 players every session. You know, those players that play throughout the week, 7 or 8 of them, it always ends up the same way. You get 3 big loser, a little loser, 1 small winner, and a big winner. But one of the big losers is going to cover all the winners, and the rest belongs to me and my partners. So understanding that, the reason I'm able to keep my table going for so long is that I don't squeeze water out of a rock. You know, if somebody lose $300 or $400 to me, let's just say they lose $400 to me, I'll tell them to pay me $200 and keep it pushing. Where other poker tables, they squeeze these dudes out of everything they lose. Now the guy that's only got $400, he's got to pay his debt. He don't have nothing to hustle with, so he's not going to be able to come back and play with you the next day or the next week. I always give room to make sure that these dudes have something left in their pocket to be able to go do whatever else they're doing and bring it back to the game. Also, I evaluate my time and I want to be compensated accordingly. You know, I have an average spending habit in there per week. So if I can take care of all my bills, put groceries in my locker, and live the way I want to live, I don't really care about the extra. And also, the way I do it, not squeezing them, not taking everything that they lose, it ingratiates me with them. It makes them feel happy to lose money to me because they know, oh, Mason ain't gonna bust me upside my head. If I lose big, he'll always cut me a deal. But like I said, through the course of my time, our money is stamps. But sometimes, if the loss is big enough or whatever, they'll wire money on the street, Western Union. Or some people, they hustle. So let's say they lose a couple $100 to me, they might bring me a couple $100 worth of product. Whatever it is, whether it's tobacco, weed, other narcotics, or wine, or sweats, clothes, whatever they're doing that has a value and we can exchange, I always accept it because at the end of the day, I can always turn around and sell it or pass it on to somebody else. So we had this black dude from the Bay Area that lived in Eddie's block, Eddie Sua. He liked to play poker and wears out like I ran the best game as far as making sure the game is run with integrity. Whatever losses that occur on the table, I eat it. But I make sure anybody that wins on my table always get paid, no matter what. So, like I said, my reputation precedes me. So people that come on the compound or are interested in playing poker, you know, my name comes up first. And they come out and they play. So we had this black dude from the Bay Area. You know, he comes and plays. And for the most part, 80% of the players always lose because they can't beat the 10% cut. The 10% cut gets real, you know, towards the middle of the week. It makes a difference. Now, this guy loses to me every week. You know, the first week, he lost a few $100s. He paid it in cash. But my partner, Joe Wells, he's a white boy. I think he became a AC, Aryan Circle, after he left Atwater. But at the time he was in Atwater, he was independent. Him and his other white dude, Jody from New Orleans, they were all, you know, we were all hustling together. So come to find out, the black dude, you know, he goes out to the visiting room and hits. So one week he lost real big to us. He lost about maybe $800 or something. Now the gram of methamphetamine in the penitentiary at that time went for $400, $500. So after the weekend, he comes back. We start from Monday to Friday. We settle all of our business on the weekend. So after the weekend, he comes back and say, look, this is what I owe you. This is what I got. You know, through the course of my bid, I partook almost every single day. If I'm on a compound, it's every single day. I'm not proud of it or anything like that, but it's just, for me, I enjoy it. And at the same time, it's a way for me to escape certain, you know, my environment. But I've always been able to do it respectfully, as far as not running up bills that I couldn't pay or getting myself caught up in situation over that. I've never been in an incident that involved a debt or a bill that I couldn't manage. So as far as my perspective, I didn't really have an issue with my habit. It was just there, plentiful. I had access to it and I enjoyed it. So in the evening time, my buddy Joe, we call him Country, Joe Wells, he calls me to his unit. He had moved from 1A to 3B, to 3A. So we go over there and he drops a freaking, you know, rock the size of my pinky. I'm like, what the hell is that? He's like, man, go ahead and do that. You know, you're being inside, being locked up, being away from the world. Our system is so clean. Like, people out here could probably do a gram of meth or whatever in one shot, in one day, in one bowl or whatever. But in there, you can break down a gram and make like $2,000 papers out of that motherfucker, you know. So, and out of that one of those papers, and these are $100 papers, but they're crumbs. Two people can get high off of it. So when he dropped that rock on there, I'm like, man, that's too much. You know, for me, I'm gonna go break that bitch down in 3 different pieces and just do it through the course of the week. But he's like, nah, man, just do all that. Just do all that. So, whatever, I did all that. That shit had my jaw locked, had my hair on my head freaking growing, whatever. You know, it was real intense. I mean, anybody that has ever partook of methamphetamine or whatever, crystal, ice, whatever you want to call it, you know, they know the high that it gives you. So we kick it in the block. Well, and then after, when they called yard move, I went out to the yard and hung out with my homeboys on the yard. And then at recall, I went back in. You know, they locked us down in Atwater around 9:15, I think. So we're locking down for the evening. They lock our door. I'm high as shit. I don't know how to describe that feeling, but it's just, you're just like on a roller coaster and you're dropping and you're just like zooming. You're just gritting your teeth and you're just going. Because, it's more than I ever used to doing in one setting. So they count, we're locked down for the night. We're kicking back and we're counting. And as soon as they're done counting, one of the CEOs come and knocks on my door. Deep, deep. He's like, hey, Rick. Like, what's up? He said, hey, Lieutenant want to see you. Every time the Lieutenant want to see you, even though you might not know that even though you haven't really done anything, but for me, I'm always into something. So if a lieutenant is calling me after count, it can't be good news. So of course I'm a little apprehensive to go, but I can't refuse. So they take me down to the lieutenant's office. I go down to the lieutenant's office, and there's Lieutenant Helen. I knew him from when he was a rookie back in Lompoc. And somehow we ended up in Atwater 10 years later together. More than that, 14 years later together, he was a lieutenant over there in Atwater. So he pulls out this bone crusher, this big ass knife, and puts it on the table. I'm just standing there. I'm not volunteering anything. I'm just looking at him. He's like, you know anything about this? I was like, nah. Oh, we found this in your cell. I'm like, okay. What's up? He's like, nah, we're just kidding, man. We didn't find it in your cell, but you got medical in the morning. When you go outside to an outside facility to go have surgery or to see any type of medical people, they lock you in the SHU first because they don't want you to be out in the unit calling somebody because they're concerned that you might try to escape and have somebody waiting for you or whatever. So they lock you. They don't tell you when you're going to go out to the outside hospital. They just lock you in the SHU that night. They take you out in the morning. Well, leading up to it, I had blew out my knee. Well, I had torn my meniscus in Beaumont. And while I was in Beaumont, all they did was gave me ibuprofen and told me that, it's nothing, right? But I walk on this leg every day. I know my joints are loose, because sometimes when I'm walking or trying to play basketball, that shit will pop out of socket and then my knee will be swollen for another week or two. But I was fortunate enough when I ended up in Atwater that they had a lot of people that work in the medical, as far as the street staff, the PAs, most of them were all Filipino. And we have a big community as far as the Asian Islander goes in Atwater. So in the beginning, we were able to relate, and they took a liking to me. And I explained to Dr. Franco, he was my physician that oversaw me for my chronic care, for whatever injuries and stuff. And I tell him, hey man, something's fucked up with my knee. He got approved to get an MRI, and it showed that my meniscus was torn. The whole process took about 2 years leading up to the night that they put me in the SHU. And they had told me they were going to schedule me for a surgery, but they don't tell me when. So that night, now that I'm knowing that I got to go and have surgery in the morning, my heart started beating because I'm high as shit. I'm off of freaking this stuff. And to have surgery, they're going to put me to sleep. So I was a little concerned about the chemical reaction. So in the morning, they took me out, put me in a van. They have 2 cars, 1 car in front of the van and another car behind the van, escorting me to the clinic, to the facility. So when we get there, I get dressed out, get in a gown or whatever. They put me in the bed. My feet is shackled to, my left foot is shackled to the bed, and one of my arms is handcuffed to the bed. So they have the nurse come in to put the IV and stuff in your hands. But my heart is racing. I'm tweaking. I'm high as a kite. And the whole time, my thought process was, man, should I let these people know that I'm fucking on this shit? That I'm concerned about what happens when they put me to sleep? You know, I'm contemplating telling on myself because I really don't want to go in there, be put to sleep, and not wake up. And while she was putting the IV in me, you know, my hand is shaking because I'm scared, I'm high, and fucking she missed like 3 or 4 times before she found a vein to put all that whatever shit they were putting into me, you know. So, whatever. They get the IV in, it's running a tube through a dripper, and now they're pushing me into the surgery room. You know, the doctor that I met, he said it's just gonna be a little microscopic surgery. They're gonna drill 3 holes in my knee and go in there with a camera and a scraper and just scrape the meniscus out smooth or whatever. So he said it shouldn't take more than an hour or something. It was a real simple procedure. But at the same time, I'm trying to ask him, well, can you just shoot my leg up and numb my leg and just do the surgery that way? Like, oh, no, we have to put you to sleep. So they rolled me into the surgery room and my heart is racing. I'm sitting there, there's a light above me. I'm looking, my hands on the thing, I got IV going through me. And I can see they have the canister, you know, the face mask that they're gonna put over my face, sitting there. But like I said, my heart is racing. And I think through the course of my bid, of all the incidents that I've been in, this was the one time that I was really scared. Because, like I said, I have no control over this. You know, part of me just wanted to like, hey, hold up. I wanted to break down and confess that, hey, man, I'm all fucking hopped up on this other chemical over here. What's this chemical gonna do? But maybe it was stupid of me or whatever, but my pride or the mentality of not telling on yourself override some common sense at the time. You know, but like I said, this was the first time ever of all the other incidents that I was really fearful for my well-being. But I just laid there, fought with my thoughts, because you know, if you do this particular chemical, it has your mind racing, it has your thoughts, and you're contemplating all sorts of shit. And I'm just fighting the panic that is building up inside me. And then the doctor says, hey, we're gonna put this over your face, count back from 10. And I can see it, like everything just seems to be slow motion. I can see the nurse picking up the face mask, and I can see it slowly coming, hovering over my face. And my thought is like, man, this is your last chance, man. Say something, say something, say something. And they put the mask over my head and told me to count backwards from 10. And then I woke back up. You know, however long I was out, I've never been so grateful and so happy to like wake up in such a drowsy state. But yeah, everything, the surgery was a success. I'm able to walk and run and play ball. Well, not so much now because I'm a lot older, but I'm able to do these activities without having my joint popped out. So I'm grateful to Dr. Franco that worked in Atwater for helping me get the procedure that the staff in Beaumont refused to even consider or look at. And I'm just grateful that I woke back up. Welcome to the USP.